computer. Okay, so I believe we're recording now, but let me just check to make sure. Yes, we are recording now. Okay, so share again. Okay, so we have a table that records the director of student life. He's recording incidents where, like, fraternity students beat up other fraternity students, or where they injure themselves, through no fault of another person. And so referral is the report number. Victim is the person who was beat up or hurt. Perp is the person who beat them up. And date is the date of the report. And so it's similar, just similar to, but smaller than the data that Officer Crump has. And there's duplication. For example, in report 3, the perp A is actually beating up 2 people, B and C. So we got 2 rows. And also in the report from June 7th, 2020, 2 people, B and C, are beating up victim A. And so again, 2 rows. And so there's different types of duplication you might want to get rid of. Okay, so let's say we want to dedupe on perp. So we're interested really in just finding, like, how often was somebody a victim, not like how many people beat them up or anything. So what you do is, instead of the home tab, you go to the data tab. You do not use remove duplicates. You think you could do that, but that removes duplicates in place. It would modify the actual data that you have. Instead, you go to this thing called advanced. And its default is to remove some duplicates in place, but we don't want to do that. We want to copy to another location. Now, Excel is pretty smart in guessing at what stuff you want to remove the duplicates from. It guesses that you want to remove from A1 through C9. This is finding this table that you have here. So that's a correct guess there. Criteria range. And so that one is showing up as column D. And that's just because I've done this before. Otherwise, it would have been blank. And you would have had to enter that yourself. So I'm going to just show you how that would happen. The way you can pick something is you can actually just go and click on the column. And it will it'll give you that column. Now, it names it a little bit differently, but I think this is going to be correct. Let me see if we tried like this, for example, just selecting a particular cell, that doesn't seem right. If you try clicking on perp, that might only be giving you like a header. I think it needs all the data. Demo, exclamation point, criteria. I don't know. Let's see. If that doesn't work, I can do stuff like maybe try to select an entire column, And again, that's trying to refer to this column D. Okay, now we got to decide where to copy to, and it gave us something that I did last time, but I'm just going to go ahead and select. I'm going to say, how about this little F right here? So that's the cell F1. And that's indicating like where you should start the copy at. But I think it's intelligent enough that it knows that it can't copy into just one cell. It'll have to provide more. Okay, now the key for the deduping is to say unique records only. And let's say okay and see if this works. And let's see, it worked. Look at that. There were 2 reports, 2 rows with report 1 and A is the victim, and now there's only 1. So we have successfully deduped by the perp. But notice the coloring here. This is actually not a table. Excel does not realize that like there's variables, referral, victim, date, and then underneath are their values. It doesn't realize that right here. It just sees some columns of stuff. So we actually have to format this as a table. So if you go home tab, you'll see a little format as table right here. And I would like to do that. So I'm just going to select my stuff and then go over to format as table and click on it. And there's like all these different like coloring styles you can do. I'll just go with this top one here. And it's making sure that it's got the right stuff, F1 through H8. I kind of look at the cells and yes, that looks correct. And it's important to leave that box checked, says my table has headers, so that it can distinguish the variable names from the variable values. Okay. And now it's got like these little drop-down arrows that let you do things with columns. It's a table. Okay. Next thing I did was I filtered by some date range. So you go up to date and click the little arrow, and I want to filter by something, and I choose like my method. So the most general thing is to filter by between, and then you could enter 2 dates. I'm going to go ahead and just filter by something like, I don't know, last year. And it actually seems to have some trouble realizing like what last year really is. Is it 2020 or 2021? I'm going to just click the 2020. And you notice that right away, the table got shorter. It took away the events from 2021. So I'll just click the close button. But the key is this thing is still the original table. It's just that those rows are hidden. The data is still there. I want to be working. My next step, is to group by victim and summarize by how many times they were a victim. I can't have all that data still around from 2021. I really need to have only the 2020 data. And so like I can't find a way to just like filter and then like remove the filtered out data all in one step. Instead, I have to do something kind of stupid. I have to make a copy of this table and put it in another place, like a copy of this stuff. So this is horrible, but and I'm not sure I remember how I did it, but I'm going to just like grab this and do a Control C for copy, and I'm going to go over to like J here and do a Control V for paste. And you'll notice that when I did that, it doesn't have those little drop-down arrows. So I'm thinking that what it did is it just copied the text. It didn't copy over all that table structure information. So I think it lost all the original data. And that's good. I want to make a table out of this. And so I'll just select this bit, and then I'll format as table. And I just want that. And there we go. And now I'll work with this table to do the group by and summarize. How is that done? So if you go to the Insert tab, you get a new ribbon, and you get the all-important Pivot Table button. So when you click it, you need to select a table or a range. And it's like I haven't, I'll move this out of my way here. I could go with my mouse and select. I actually wonder if I could like type in a name, like if I knew the name of that table, I guess I could type it in there. I wonder if this button here would like help me like know any of that. No, it just minimizes it, which is not what I wanted. So that's the nice thing. Those little buttons on the side, they minimize the box. So if the box is in the way, you can just go you can minimize it, and then you can go and grab your table and then enter, and then it comes back again. So actually that was called table 2. How interesting. I'm not going to use an external data source. I'm going to put the pivot table in the existing worksheet. It even has like an idea about where to go. L9, demo to L9. I don't think so. I'd like to put it somewhere else. So I go into like, I'm going to put it, and then I just go up here. How about right like on in? And I'll say okay. And I'm not done, because it needs to know how I want to do the grouping by and summarizing. And so it gives me this little sidebar table with the names of my variables, referral, Vic, and date. And what I want to do is I want to group by victim. And so I'm going to just like grab victim and put victim down on the rows. Let me see if, oh, it won't let me do that. I have to click on victim, and then I'll need to like get it down to the rows. And then I got to like do, what is the sum array I want? Well, what I want to do is count up how many referrals there were for each victim. And so I click on referral, and it kind of guessed that I wanted it down in this. This is like the summarize command in dplyr. It guessed I wanted it down here. Now it's giving me some of the referrals, which would be bad, because like then victim A victim B, like you'll notice here in the table that it's produced, there's a 5, but B was not a victim 5 times. What happened was B, was in 2 referrals that were numbered 2 and 3, and so it's adding up the 2 and the 3. But we don't want that. And so we go to this like little information thingy and click it, and you say we want count. And so it's got a lot of different summary functions there available for you. And so we do count of referrals, and now we look at our table, and that looks right, because we can tell that B appeared twice, and C appeared twice, and A appeared once. Well, that's correct. So I can close this now. And then I just would, if this were a much larger table, Officer Crump would want to sort to look at the most common victims. So I'm going to go to count of referral, or I'm going to go to row labels, and I'll say sort, and I'll go descending order, and I will sort by count of referral. And I think that's all I need. Oh no, by filter. I don't want to filter.
It's already, the table's
did it already do it?
changed.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. So that's right. It does it. I hate that. But anyway, there it is. So like that could be taught to Officer Crump. And so whenever he wants to do a report, he could just like make a copy of his current data as a new Excel table. And then he could go through this process, and he has his report here at the end. It's probably good to walk through the process where your criteria is the VIC instead of the perp, so you can find your most common perpetrators. Another thing to experiment with is you could filter by date before you deduplicate. And the reason for practicing with that, Caitlin, is that if we ever do get to the point of making a program out of this, where there's like a program we write for him, and all he has to do is like indicate like a date range, and then boom, it produces the table. You would want your first operation to be the filtering. And because it would be easier for us to construct the program that way. I think that when we learn Visual Basic for apps, we're going to find that what you do is you like turn on a record macro button, and you go through a process through the GUI, and it generates the VBA code that then becomes the program. In that case, we would want the two inputs to be right up in front, the date range to be right up in front as the first operation. That's my guess is how it would be easiest. So anyway, that's what we got, and I will stop recording here.